All right, I think we're streaming, so I'll unpause. So much waving going on. I think I'll unpause the recording so it's not recording. Hi, everybody, and I will share my screen. Let me see if I have my window open, and then yeah, and then we can go to Laura. All right, so welcome everybody. It's a Friday evening, Friday night, Saturday morning in some places. And we call it Friday Night Comics or Friday Night Workshops, or I don't know. We change the name every time. Anyway, welcome. It's a Friday night over here. It's Friday afternoon where Laura is. It's Saturday morning where Nikki is. We're really glad that y'all are here. It's the Friday Night Workshops. And if you've never been here before, we're the Sequential Artists Workshop. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. We run courses in comics. You can find us at learn.sawcomics.org. Let's see, there we go. We have an online certificate program, which is a year-long course coming really soon. It starts September like 5th or something. So there's still time to ask about that. There's still time to sign up for that. Definitely ask questions if you have them. And also next week in this Friday night slot, we have Summer Pierre doing some comics about lists. And let's see. Oh, these are some sorry, Sam, sort of out of it. These are some testimonials from people of this last year's year-long program. Anyway, in person in October in Gainesville, Florida, we have Tommy Parrish. I hope some of you can make it out because I think that's going to be really special. Lots of wild foliage and fauna down there in Gainesville, and it's really suited to Tommy's work. Anyway, so to anybody who donated ever or this week, we really appreciate it. It helps keep these events free and it helps us pay the teachers. SAW is supported by tuitions and donations, and there's a bunch of ways that you can support us, and I'll put that in the chat. You can be a sustaining member. People do that. Anyway, please, no inappropriate speech or imagery, no trolling or hate speech or explicit, et cetera, et cetera. Keep it PG-13. Thanks. That's how we tend to do it here. Share on social media what you do tonight. Hashtag Friday Night Comics will work at Comics Workshop. And Laura is at Hey Laura Gao, and I'll put that in the chat. And you can also share at members.sawcomics.org. We have lots of people doing that, so enjoy. And yay, Laura Gao, I'm so happy you're here. We love Messy Roots. We love that so much. Thank you so much for making that book and making some time this afternoon. And
thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and how do you get a little blue check mark next to your Instagram?
Oh.
I
Don't
saw
ask.
that. What? That's okay. You don't have to tell us if there's a secret. All right, I stopped sharing. There we go. I'm going to spotlight you.
Awesome.
There we go. And you are free to do anything you want. Yeah, again, I'm sort of babbling because I got COVID. But I'm going to be in the chat sort of summarizing what you do for people who are trying to keep up that way. But otherwise, we're really excited to have you here, and it's just great. So start anytime. Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. I don't know how many of y'all were here when I did my last kind of like industry professional tutorial or workshop. But if so, like definitely glad to have y'all back again. Thank you so much, Tom, for inviting me back. I am really excited to do this workshop with y'all, which this is the first time I'm teaching this specific topic. So y'all are definitely the guinea pigs for this, but I'm hoping it'll be just as fun. So I'll go ahead and start with my presentation. And this will be pretty interactive. As I go through the presentation, there'll be multiple times where we'll stop and like draw. So first of all, yes, that is me. That is me in May 2020 on my birthday when I actually got my very first book deal for Messy Roots. That's my very first debut graphic novel. It's a memoir. And since it's debuted on the bestsellers list and has done like yeah, just like has given me a lot of awesome opportunities to talk about comics and the other comic artists, and that is my book right there. I always say when you start off a presentation, like start off with your most embarrassing photo so that it can only go up from there. So that is me and my favorite birthday onesie. Here's just a little bit more about me. I grew up in Dallas, Texas. I'm here in San Francisco now, so Bay Area represent. And that's me last year at Comic-Con, so not this year, and got to meet a lot of really awesome comic artists. I write and draw a lot of content that's about being Asian American, about being queer. I do a lot of just like very funny stuff too. I love just like, yeah, anything that's funny, a huge SNL fan. Yeah, and then my pronouns are she and they. And just a little sneak peek of what I'm working on now. I'm working on a very, very sapphic queer love story, a young adult graphic novel about these teens who are trying to find themselves through astrology. So this is a sneak peek just for these workshop members. This should be coming out also with HarperCollins sometime next year, so keep a lookout for that. All right, so now to the fun stuff. No panels allowed. So this, I came up with this because as I was going through some of my own art, both in Messy Roots and in this upcoming second book, I noticed that like I really like just kind of like stretching what a panel can be. And so I wanted to sort of share that with y'all as like a very fun exercise of like, how can we break apart what is a panel and can we get away with drawing a comic, like, you know, full sequential comic that either doesn't have any panels or maybe only has like one panel or a few panels, but everything else is like really unique and creative. So the workshop's called No Panels Allowed, but you are allowed to draw a panel, but let's see if we can like break that a little bit. So this is the traditional sense of a panel, right? This is like the very first comic Bible I ever read, and I'm sure a lot of y'all have as well, Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. Panels are made to fracture both time and space, so that as you go from one panel to the other, it's sequential. It's like one event happened, another event happened. But what if we can like blow that all up, right? And try to think of other ways that we can utilize the beauty of a panel or a non-panel. So please excuse my really, it's like this GIF was filmed on a potato. This is my last minute slides making. So objects as panels. This is the very first exercise we'll do. So I hope everyone has their pencil and paper or iPad. I'll be working on an iPad, but please work on whatever you want. But the very first thing I want folks to kind of draw as an exercise is, can an object in the scene act as a natural panel? And what do I mean by that? Here are some examples. Sorry,
Wow.
So this is, oh, oops. So this is, oh no, okay. So this is an example from Messy Roots here. As you can see, so what is happening here is my brother and I just like started a kitchen fire, like, you know, as kids do whenever you're home alone cooking. And we realized that like, oh no, we have to like, you know, get rid of the smoke. So then as you can see, like, sure, there are some panels here that show the sequence of us like trying to get rid of it. But if you look even closer, this panel is actually not a panel. It's like a window. And it's like, whoa, a window panel. So here's like one example in which like instead of a panel just being like I could have easily just drawn 4 different squares and like called it a comic, but you want to add that like extra dimension on there. Like not only are these 4 panels, but this is literally the window that we are flapping the smoke out into. Here are some more examples. On the left, I have the scene where like I have the main character who's very just like self-conscious about her looks, and then you have the sequence of like the movie of like the hot teenage star she just watched coming across. So as you can see here, like now we have sort of this like movie role as like different panels. And on the right, we have some things that are a bit more simple. I have this panel, or I guess like the scene in my new book where it's about climbing, like professional sports climbing. And instead of having someone explain it by having different panels next to each other, I actually just drew a clipboard. And this clipboard itself naturally acts as a panel. And then I had someone explain as if they're like writing, you know, this like instruction on how to start a climb onto this clipboard. And then the bottom right, would love people to chime in here. This one's a bit harder to tell, but like, what do you think is sort of like the object that's a panel on the bottom right?
Oh, Emma says stairs. Megan
Yes.
says staircase.
Yeah, there we go. Also, it's also from Messy Roots. It's a scene in which I and my cousins, we are sneaking out of our grandparents' place to just like wreak havoc at night, right? And so you can see like I could have easily just like also kept these panels just as panels and like had you can still tell that we're trying to sneak out, but I add that like extra sort of like dimension on top where these 4 panels also act as stairs. And I do that by having the legs and the feet sort of like tiptoe onto the panels. So yeah, so those are some fun examples of ways that you can sort of shake up what a panel is by turning an object that is a part of the scene into that panel. So this starts sort of the very first exercise of the workshop. By the end of this workshop, you will have sort of this like 4 sequential, I wouldn't call them panels, I guess, but like 4 sequential sections that will create an overall comic. But each of those sections will be a different type of non-panel that will go through in this workshop. So as you start off with your canvas, just make sure to leave room for all the other steps of this workshop. But this will be the very first step. So think of this as like your first quote unquote panel. So the very first one, I want to challenge everyone. Can y'all draw a panel that's actually an object from the scene that you're drawing? So I will go ahead and stop sharing here and then share my iPad.
What if we don't have a scene in mind?
If you don't have a scene in mind, then you can always, draw what I'm drawing. Like, feel free to sort of like copy as I go. And then hopefully by the time we get to like the second or third or fourth, like quote unquote panel, then you can deviate, like maybe you want to like take it down a different route, like a more personal route. Like, definitely feel free to do that. I'll let y'all know sort of what I'm gonna draw. I have something already in mind, so you can always choose that theme too. So I'm gonna draw sort of like teenagers playing in a band. I think there's a lot of like fun things we can do with that, with like music and instruments and sheet music that can turn into panels itself. So if that gets your gears going, like feel free to continue with that. You can always use any of the previous examples I use as well as the starting points.
And Lynn says, where on the page should it go?
So I would put this on the top left. This will just sort of follow the traditional 2x2 for the sake of this workshop. So I'm just going to like kind of map this out.
2x2, meaning 2 across and 2 down.
Yeah.
It's so tricky because we're not thinking in panels, but then you say 2x2 and I'm all confused. So, okay.
Right, exactly. I know. I want to like if I had it my way, like I totally would just be like, draw on this empty canvas, go wherever. But for the sake of the workshop, I think it'll be easier for us to like try an exercise each on like a different section of the page.
Cool.
So yeah.
I think we can do it.
Sweet. So for the first one, I'll write it down for folks. So this will be object as panel. Cool. Let's do like maybe like 3 or 4 minutes of drawing for this one. And then we can kind of stop there and then go to the next one.
Great.
So for this one, for this section, because I want to do like band. I'm thinking like, what are some instruments that are maybe like big and like shapely enough to become a panel? And I personally play the keyboard, so now I'm like kind of like leaning towards the keyboard. So maybe I'll like start off so like drawing like an imposed keyboard of sorts. Let's see. So remember, the blue part is your section, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's your panel.
Hmm.
That's just like where this part of the workshop is going to be. I'm going to make the keyboard my panel. So you can use like freedom to kind of like go beyond the section if you like to. Some speakers. Buttons.
Oh, wow. So it's got a face already. It's so super cool.
Do some of the keys. I always forget which like are the black keys and white keys. That always like messes me up.
There's 3 and 2, 3 and 2. It's
Yeah.
interesting you drew it from the back. That's so cool.
Yeah. I guess I wanted like some space for like me to impose some other objects onto it. So from the back, I think then I could see like the front a bit more clearly.
Jillian says, should we leave space for text?
Um, yeah, if you want text on yours, like dialogue, like definitely leave space. I will draw my text in the end. I'll probably like put it somewhere on here. I'm just gonna loosely kind of draw these things, the keys, and then I want to put a character in it, so I'm going to kind of like put maybe like a hand
Oh,
over. So let's draw. Let's see it better. Maybe some hands playing it. So the hands are kind of like coming around it. There we go. And then if you have time to do speech bubbles, like definitely feel free to add them in. Maybe I'll have one to come in like here. Hey, watch play in. There you go. So, so yeah, so now I've kind of contained it to where the keyboard itself is sort of like the panel. You can see.
Great. Oh, and so that's why the word balloon is sort of on top of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Not outside of it.
Right. Awesome. Maybe I'll wait till the 20 and then get to the next one. So let me stop sharing here. And then I'll go back to the presentation.
Oh,
All right. So
nice.
we're gonna go to we're gonna go to the next step. It's okay if you're not done drawing here. You will have time in the next 3 sections to sort of finish up what you were doing before and draw the next step. I will have quite a bit of time for show and tell in the end too, so you can always finish stuff up as people are showing and telling. Cool. So number 2, screens as panels. And this is sort of similar to an object in which a screen is an object, yes. But the particular thing about this is that a screen or a canvas itself is like meant to have already like text and images on it, right? So it becomes like a natural panel. And what I mean by that is stuff like this. So this is another page I took from SE Roots. And as you can see here, you have the panels that I'm particularly referring to that are screens are the ones like the ones where you see like a recording sign, right? And yes, technically that is a panel, but in the same way, it's also a shot of what you would see through the camcorder. And so that's like another way that you can kind of like sort of like trip the reader in a bit where you're like, oh, like this is a panel for the sake of sequential art, but this is also like something you'll see through the camcorder. And so you'll see here it's like my dad's recording my brother opening up his present. And you can do fun stuff like this where like, you know, like when you first open up the camcorder, it's a little shaky and blurry. So I did that little like blur effect before it focuses in on my brother. And the same here on the right, in which like I do this kind of like time change, like the time skips from 2008 to 2009. And so my mom in the middle is able to do this little like shaky blurry thing as she like refocuses on herself. So those are like cool things that you can do whenever the panel that you're using is actually a screen or a canvas. Here's some other examples, like classic, a screen in the most traditional sense as like a phone screen. So you can see here, like I kind of like impose this even on top of my existing panels where you see Laura, the main character, sort of like swiping through Tinder profiles. And then this is like another fun one that I like to do is I like to kind of think of my whole page as like a desk in front of me or like a table in front of me or like a wall. And I'm like, oh, what could go on that wall? What could go on that table? That's like not just a panel. And then so I like to do stuff like, you know, like notebook sheets and doodles, Polaroids and stuff. So I think those are other examples of screens that act as panels. All right. So
Polaroids count as screens.
Yes, polar. Yeah,
Okay.
screen / canvas. Like it doesn't have to be like a screen like you would think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anything that's kind of like a flat surface that normally
Cool.
in the real world would hold an image or like text.
Any flat surface. I'll write that down.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Awesome. Yeah, Polaroids are fun. I try to incorporate a Polaroid in like every comic I do. So let me go back to my iPad. Right, cool. So the second one and this one, I mean, you technically could put it anywhere on your canvas really, but I'm just going to like put it on the right here for sake of like simplicity and showing y'all. Oh, it's not object anymore. So now this one is screen / canvas as panel. Cool. Okay, so yeah, so like as Tom said, like any Polaroids, phone screens, what else? Like if maybe like if you're opening a book, like that book itself could be a panel. Posters, ads, billboards. So you want to like follow up on what you did in the first panel. So my first panel, I see here, someone's playing the piano, obviously, and then someone's asking, hey, like what you're playing. So in this one, maybe I'll do like, I'll do like a phone screen that like someone's holding. And then maybe they're like recording like a TikTok video or something. So let me see what the TikTok UI looks like. I have not opened up TikTok in a long time for probably so that I actually have time to draw. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna draw like the UI on top. And then cool. So I have the UI. And I guess to make it look even more like a screen, I actually won't have a hand here. It will just purely be the phone. Cool. So it's just gonna purely be the phone now. And then I want to draw sort of like the person that's playing the piano. So maybe I'll have like
Oh, you really got specific with that user interface.
yeah. Yeah, you gotta make it look realistic. Person's playing. He's gonna be like, hey, what you doing? Left hand this keyboard. Yeah, so maybe like we could draw a little background. Maybe this is like a recording studio or something. Draw like a little mic here. Maybe like drum sets Actually, I don't know what drum sets look like. Just gonna like roughly say it looks like this. Symbol right here. Okay. Sweet. So that's gonna be my second panel. If you want to draw text, feel free. I think I will hold the text on for later once I like sort of understand the story that I will tell once I get to my third or fourth panel.
Yeah, we want an answer to that question,
Yeah, exactly. What is he playing?
Right, right.
Yeah. Sweet. I'll leave like maybe like 30 seconds for y'all to finish drawing, and then we can get to the next one.
Right.
Sweet. So let me back to this. UI. Awesome. Okay, so this is the third one that we are going to experiment with. And this is panels interacting with other panels. So yeah, once again, if you haven't finished, like definitely don't worry about, you have to finish it until the very end. But what are panels interacting with other panels? So I guess like technically this breaks the rule because this is a panel, but I like to kind of think of this as like it's a panel that sort of like breaks the fourth wall in a way, where these are panels in which where like the characters almost like know it's a panel and can kind of like take advantage of it. And like what I mean by that is if you look at the top right here, so what is happening is that I have Laura, the main character, so what's happening is that like her like Chinese family is sort of like comparing her back to like her younger self and saying like maybe they like my younger self better than me actually because they keep bragging about her. And so what I have Laura do is like she's thinking about her younger self, so that's where you get like the thought bubble panel. But then in the next panel, she's taking her younger self from that thought bubble and like putting her in her chair with like her relatives, right? So it's almost like, yeah, it's like kind of like breaking that fourth wall. So yeah, so this is like an example of a panel interacting with other panels. The one on the bottom right is Laura, the main character, who's like at this party and like just like, as anyone is, like when there's free food, you're like, oh my God, I gotta get everything. And then so I drew kind of Laura like going from panel to panel, collecting all of the free stuff, the free food. Here's some other examples on the left here. Instead of drawing like Laura shooting and then Laura missing, I just have it to where the ball like shoots into the hoop that's in the other panel. So like that panel is almost like as if it's a target. And the same thing on the right, after chopping up veggies, I have the main character scoop the veggies into the bowl, which is in the other panel.
Oh, those are great.
Thank you. All right, so here's another we'll sort of experiment with this one now. So this one, you already have two panels to work with. So now you just need to draw a third panel that interacts with one of your other two panels.
Whoa.
Anyway, yeah. Yeah, this won't be hard, but we're up here for a challenge. Every step will be like increasingly harder than the first one, but hopefully that like helps folks like create some really, really cool comics in the end. See, so I'm going to share my iPad again. All right, so for this one, so I want this third section, which you can kind of like you can kind of draw it anywhere, but I'm just gonna draw it sort of like on like this section right here for simplicity. So this is panel interactions. Um let me think.
See, it's tricky, huh?
I know, yeah. Like, you know, if folks have ideas, I'm thinking maybe like they can either like press something on the phone, maybe if they can interact like with something inside the phone. Um, Actually, I think what might be interesting is so actually instead of this drum set, which is a bit hard to work with, I'm going to draw maybe like a really big guitar that's at the very like foreground.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's one thing we're taking my workshop. You can cheat a little. You can go back to your previous panels to make them work for your future ones. But I think it'd be cool to kind of get like a so this is gonna be sort of a guitar. Let me erase the background. I'm gonna do it. And what I'm thinking the story is going is the person who's filming actually like plays this guitar. And that's why it's in the foreground. It's like, you know, maybe like he's holding it up or like they're holding it up as they're recording that this person playing the keyboard. So what I'm going to do is actually draw this person. So let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna make this even bigger actually. And maybe I'm gonna have them sort of like pluck this guitar.
whoa. It's blowing my mind. Maybe some like curly hair. And then so I'm gonna have them pluck this guitar, and then you can kind of like see their phone right here. You're taking up a lot of the room of the fourth panel too. I wonder what you've got in store
Yeah,
for
no, that's a good point.
us.
That is a very good point.
I've
That's
already
okay.
got,
You know, we just gotta adapt as we go.
okay. Allison already asks, what do we do if we ran out of room? But I'll say adapt as we go.
Yes, adapt as we go. Oh, so this one. Cool. So then I'm gonna erase uh, what's below the hand so that you can actually see it. Cool. There we go. So we have someone kind of plucking it. And then I'm just gonna like draw a music note, kind of denote the plucking. Awesome. All right.
Cool.
Now we're going to do the last one.
Oh boy.
And so the last one, so I technically had two, but this one we don't have to draw because this one's more for like inspiration. The last one I think will be quite interesting to draw. So this one I call panels gone wild, but it's really just like basically what happens when you like can just break a panel into like whatever you want. Like if you don't have panels on the left here and you just have a bunch of like bass players playing stuff. Here's an example from one of my favorite books, Schubeck Lubeck, in which they you can see like their panels literally just a graph. Like it's the characters interacting with the graph. They don't even need panels here. So that's something to think about, like what if your panel is just a graph? And here's another thing where like they don't use panels because it's a very like frantic scene. You have like the car going back and forth trying to find the hospital. You have like this person pacing back and forth. Another example where you see progression, but like there's not really a panel. So this like kind of like makes the progression a bit more profound.
Hmm.
We're going to skip that one because I do want to get to the last one as like the final part of the workshop. But objects imposed on panels. And the fun part about this is like, even if you've run out of space on your paper, you can do this. So what is an object imposed? It's when you have objects on the page itself, on like over the panel, which kind of turn that panel into a surface. And like, what do I mean by that? So here's some examples from Messy Roots where you do have some like panels in the middle that tell the story, but on the left, I sort of turned that page into like a table that we have a bunch of our like the story is talking about me and my cousins eating a bunch of these Chinese candies. And so I decided, hey, what if I actually put the candies on the page itself? So it looks like this page is a table that they're eating the candies from. And on the right is an example where the story in the panels is telling about my mom giving me a flashback about like the origins of my name. And like this name has symbolism with this lily pad, which is pond that we like, grew up in near. And so I turned basically the page into the pond itself. And I put all these little lily pads on it and like water ripples and stuff. So this last one, I want y'all to think sort of outside the box, outside the page even. And based on what you drew already in your first few steps, what are some things that you can sort of impose onto the page itself to turn it into a surface as for like, as a topic of all your objects?
You know what you're gonna do?
Yeah, I think I have a good idea. I feel like there's a lot of like musical things I can definitely put on here.
I love that candy example you gave.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, food's always fun to impose on these pages. Like I did a scene for my second book, in which it was like a cooking montage. And then I placed a bunch of like, like cookie dough batter and like spoons and like, instruction sheets and stuff like onto the page itself around the cooking montage. So that's like another example for folks. All right, so this last one, this last one is like imposing. So imposed objects, like imposed things really. So I want to kind of like turn this into maybe like a music page. So as like a previous band geek, I'm going to add some music pages back here. It would be like Taco Bell's Canon or something because that's what everyone played.
Yeah.
And then like the notes.
Wait, everything's on. Oh,
Yeah.
heavy.
You can
Whoa.
either impose it on the top or on the bottom. I mean, sorry, or like below everything. So that's like the fun part about this is you can sort of like be creative and choose yourself.
Wow.
So I'm going to do like a bit of both. Like I always like having multiple dimensions on my art. So I'm going to have the sheet be placed on the bottom surface. And then let me fill this in. Maybe I'll put some stuff on top. Like I can put like drumsticks, for example. So here's a pair of drumsticks. And then since there's a guitar here, maybe I'll put like a guitar pick. What else? What else is like musical related? And for the last thing, maybe I'll put like a microphone. So I'm gonna draw this microphone. Man, I'm like running out of space now. Let me delete these. Oh, it's not that. The titles. I'll draw this microphone here. I'll have like the wire kind of coming in. And then you can sort of see like the top part of the microphone. Oops. And then a little shadow. There you go. And then for the last part of it, oh, I know we're running low on time. I'm just gonna like give this man a speech bubble so that you can't tell what's going on. So, hey, what you playing? And then maybe I'll have this person be like, just jamming, wanna join? And that's when the bass player picks the guitar and it's like, and be like, give me a riff. I got an idea. And there you go. And that's the start of a band being formed.
Wow.
Yeah. And yeah, and then you know, obviously if you have time and stuff, you can color, you can like do sort of like what you want with everything, just like make things sort of stand out. Like one thing you can do is if you have stuff imposed behind something, I always just try to sort of like overlap it a little bit. I mean, sorry, like shade it a little bit so that you can sort of tell what it is. I'm just gonna like shade that. And so now you can see, oh, those are like pages. And same with this. Like put that, give that little flare.
Oh,
Give this the yellow. And yeah.
amazing. It's really vibrant and organic, and I didn't know what you were gonna do. As
I was figuring out as well, at the same time as you, Tom.
you, some people are saying this is so cool. I'm taking more notes than drawing.
I'm glad.
Someone else is just what I needed.
That's good. Yeah, I think the great thing is like it can kind of get you if you're in like a comic slump, if you're like, these panels are not really working, I'm not inspired by these panels. Like there's some great exercises for you to just be like, okay, what if they aren't panels actually? What if I just let myself loose and draw whatever? And you can have like a really dynamic piece like this.
Yeah, really fun.
Sweet. Shall we get into the show and tell?
Yeah, we might as well. Let's see. I think I would have to ask you to stop sharing. Great. And
Cool.
then, yeah, so Laura has a hard finish time of 15 minutes after y'all, so we can probably get to a handful of people who want to share, but yeah, let's do it. We have Siobhan
Yeah.
and
I
Nina.
think based on how it goes, I maybe will always say a little later if my girlfriend comes back late from tennis. So we'll see.
All right, well, we're going to honor that until we hear otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay, we have Siobhan here, and then Nina, then Walter. There we go.
And,
Hi, Siobhan, can you hear us?
hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Hello.
So this was awesome to do, and I did it like a workshop. I don't know if you can tell, but I have a character right there, and then I drew it. Let me go back. So basically she's ripping off a book, and the pages are like symbolic of like her soccer,
Oh,
young,
that's smart. Yeah.
and then an X-ray photo of like Vase into the trash can, so everything is like changed for her. So she's just like going through a bad times. Is that? Oh yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's like so poignant. No, I love that. I love how the sort of like you're ripping the pages and that the pages themselves take you back in time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing.
Oh.
Awesome. We'll go to Nina next. Thanks, Siobhan.
Mute myself. First of all, Tom, I hope you feel better.
Oh gosh, I hope you feel better. I'm more
I'm
concerned about you.
yeah, I'm halfway to surgery again, and I'm okay. I'm just yeah.
Okay.
And thank you. This was really awesome. And the first thing I thought of was guacamole. So I kind of just started off with the recipe book, thinking of that page as a sort of a panel, and that this tween girl who has no idea what it means to even dice. And so I have it then going to the phone, to some video of someone dicing. And then I tried to get like all the little pieces of onion to turn into like little images. And then
I love that.
Of her, crying with onions, and it's not easy, obviously. And then ultimately, since we had to end it in the next panel, that she makes guacamole. So
Nice.
anyway, thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think that I've never seen a comic on a diced onion. Like that's definitely a first. I absolutely love it.
Ironically, I've been kind of asked to do a graphic novel cookbook, and so this sort of just tripped my mind as to a way to play with the food.
That's awesome. I'm excited to see it.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Nina. We'll
Thank you.
talk soon. Okay. Walter's next.
All right, so I had the little cheat that somebody else mentioned where in the first panel it was actually a surface, but that's my drawing board. And I'm trying to do more diary comics for Saugust, so that's me drawing myself. And then, so to get a platform or a surface, I went to the Zoom meeting that we were in, and I put my dialogue in the Zoom chat there. And I love the constraints that make me go back and use an eraser, because when you wanted the panels to bleed into each other, I went back in and put my hands in drawing on the drawing board that I had drawn the first time.
Nice.
And
Very
then,
smart.
which is why I drew what I drew. And then the last panel is the stuff I used to do the drawing, which is the eraser and the big fat pencil that I'm using.
Nice.
Hopefully
This is so
sitting
meta.
on a piece of typing paper. Yeah. I was remembering the meta comics from a few weeks ago, Tom, which is probably a few months ago now, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. It was great.
Thanks, Walter. Okay, we'll go to Adam next, then Christina, then Kathy. If we can get Adam to.
Hi, is it possible for me to share my screen because I drew on my tablet?
We might have to come back to you.
I could also just hold my tablet up.
Yeah, maybe can you do that?
Okay, yeah. One second. Can you see me? Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, hi. This is my first time in one of these. This is
Welcome.
really great.
Wow, I'm honored.
But so I got here a little late, but I got sort of like a study session going on. So I've got like the first panel is the notebook, and then I've got the phone camera where he's taking a picture of his buddy, and then I got kind of stumped on how to have the interaction, so I sort of didn't quite do that, but then I had like the speech bubble sort of breaking the non-panel boundaries as like my attempt at that.
Mm.
And then of course it was pretty easy then to make the rest of the page like the desk that they're sort of working at. But I definitely was pretty inspired by this, and I'm probably gonna go in and like refine it a little more.
I love it.
Ideas that we're
Yeah.
talking
I
about.
mean, even just the chord kind of going into charts the phone itself is like the panels interacting with each other. So yeah, thank you for sharing. And we do have that hashtag later. So when you finish it up and it looks great, like, feel free to
Thanks.
share it out.
Oh yeah, I'll put that in the chat right now. I forgot. Thanks, Adam. Welcome. Okay, and we'll go to Christina now. Let's see.
So I didn't really follow the prompts, though I was paying attention, so I'll follow them later. But I just I have this giant, I don't know if you can see it. I have this giant begonia.
Oh.
that's kind of taking over the edge of my drawing desk, and it's like coming into the laptop, and
I'm impressed as someone with like green
so I did that. And it says, I rescue plants from what is it? Rejects from church plant sales, freebies on the street. This monster came from a cutting from a store owner. She was sad it never bloomed for her. This thing never stops blooming. I don't know what I do. I cannot tell you that I know what I'm doing. It seems that I'm a begonia person. I've never had a begonia before in my life. And this thing, it's like Little Shop of Horrors. It just goes and goes.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
So I just sort of used its arms as gutters.
Yeah.
That's very smart. Like sort of, each of the little arms, as you said, is like separating everything out. Thank you so much for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Christina. We'll go to Kathy next, and then Judith after that.
Hi. All right. So I have a lot of thunderstorms going on tonight. So that's my dog losing her mind. And so that's pretty much what I wrote in the text. It's thundering and George is losing her mind. And my partner is responding, do you want to come home? And then we snuck out in between for a quick little walk to do what she had to do. And I tried to do the fourth panel with more objects and I just couldn't figure out what to do. So I just did another cloud over here with some more thunder and lightning. So thanks for this.
I love it. I love the like the lightning bolt kind of like breaking through the the clouds, and you can see how that affected your dog from left to right. That's really cool.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. I'm also learning how to use Procreate, so it's a thing. It's all a thing. Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it took me like a year to just like transition as well. So yeah, but ever since I haven't gone back. It's been great.
I'll exponentially add my age to that too. It's probably going to take me a little longer, but that's okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Kathy. Go to Judith next. There we go.
Hi, I'm happy to be in Seattle. So for a moment, the time is good for me. I think I'm not sure if I followed what was going on. The order was different. The initial image of doing an object, I ended up finding a title for the piece. I don't know if you could see this. It says Transgressive Tragedy. And I started with the bottle. When I broke my bottle when I was 3 years old, it was a glass bottle in those days with this big black rubber nipple. I'm pretty old. My mother didn't want me to drink bottles anymore, and she said there are no more. So I started with that, and the way it ended was how it begins. My father drew on the wall. He didn't want me crying, and he wrote, "Here, Judy, this is your bottle," and he drew it on the wall with a crayon, which that's transgressive. Yeah. But because I went around, so there's me dropping the bottle, and my mother's in the other room saying, "There's no more. That's the last bottle." And I knew she was lying. I mean, I was 3 already. I knew she was lying. So that's another transgression. The thing is that I was crying. But the main important thing about it is I watched my father draw this thing on the wall, and I saw how his crayon traced the shape of the bottle. And I learned how to draw. I knew how to draw from that moment on. I knew how to draw things and make them look three-dimensional. So that was kind of exciting. I don't think I was able to do the organization on the page in the way that I would have liked, but it's getting there. It's something I've been working on. So
yeah, no, this is like such a like interesting story, and I like how you like use the whole page to tell all that.
There's a lot going on. I'm working on a much longer, bigger thing called Family Secrets, and there's a lot of what happened and then what I know was the truth. And I'm trying to figure out how to have a whole other layer of information that's not necessarily either the picture or the voice balloon, but something else.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, there was a cartoon in the Sunday papers, and I can't remember the name of it. I'll remember it, I hope. And in the picture of these guys sitting in their living rooms, there were pictures on the wall, and things changed in the picture. It had nothing to do with the story, but if there was a boat, it would be sinking, or something would be exploding, and it was never explained. And so I kind of think about that. Maybe I could have some, I don't know what to say. I don't know. There's a lot going on. But anyway, so much. This was very interesting. I didn't understand at the very beginning your first instruction about it being an object being a frame, and how is that different than just having an object that's not in a box?
So I guess we can go that can be something we can like talk about in the examples earlier before, but I guess sometimes when the object is the frame itself, like the stairs, for example, you could have both something in the frame and something interacting with the frame. So I think that's like one like way that's different, is that you can have both at the same time.
Cool. Thanks, Judith.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and bring that into the graphic novel group, and we can keep talking about that.
Okay, thanks.
Allison, we'll go to Allison next, and then Emma. Oops, I lost Allison. Sometimes.
I'm here.
No, I'm sorry. It was a different Allison, but that Allison, we'll get to in a minute. Now, oh well. I think we'll have to go to Emma next, and then we'll go to Kate, then Tiger Lily, then Alice and Thomas.
Okay, so let me see if I can get this in focus. So I drew some scenes from a Polar Explorer story that I'm working on, and so just kind of change. I'm not sure there's really a flow here, but so this first one is snow goggles, and you can see the explorer and her dog walking across the Antarctic wasteland. And then here's some memories of her with her dog when she was a puppy. I really like the idea of using the photos as a frame. And it's funny, you can like just pile them on top of each other.
Mhm.
Then here I had a little trouble with like the third Thompson interacting panels. So this is just like Spur looking down an ice crevasse. And then I drew some of her exploring tools on top as the overlaying. So yeah, I really enjoyed this, and thanks for the activity.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to plus one what Allison said in the chat. I think using the goggles as your frame is really, really cool.
Cool. Allison, Kent, I found you in my screen. Are you hoping to share? Is Allison Kent there? Or maybe she can't hear me. All right, never mind. We will go to, and we're running out low on time. We'll go to Kate next. Here we go.
Okay, mine is a chocolate bar. I mean, the chocolate bar is just drawn. I don't know if that's really as a panel, but it says, it's funny to me that my very favorite chocolate is crafted by a small company in the town where I mostly grew up. That same backwards ass hellhole that I could not get out of fast enough is now the home of Ashkenazi bean to bar world-class chocolate that has a smooth, velvety flavor unlike any that I've tried. I did a story about them for my radio show. I've changed so much since I left that town. I guess I should have expected that the town could change too.
Oh,
And then, yeah, so I tried to have the interaction be that like in this panel, at first there wasn't the keyboard, and then it was kind of like I was eating the chocolate while I was working on the web post for the show about the chocolate place. And then there's a big piece. That was my sort of superimposed thing, was the big piece of chocolate that I'd taken a bite out of. So
I love it. That chocolate looks so real. Like I feel like I could like just reach through my screen and eat it right now.
it really is the best chocolate. Thanks.
Great.
That was
Thanks,
a really
Kate.
fun exercise. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Kate. Tiger Lily the cat. See if they're coming on. Oh, maybe not. All right, you know what? We'll go to Allison Thomas, and then we'll go to Tiger Lily the cat. Here's Allison.
Hi. Okay, so here are my comics. I couldn't really think of a story to come up with, so I just used objects from my room. So for the first panel, it's my laptop, and we have Laura on Zoom, and just a super quick sketch or doodle of what she was drawing, and her instructions sort of became the speech bubbles there. Then for the next one, oh, what was it called? Well, it was about using flat surfaces, and you mentioned something about Polaroids, and to my right I have some framed photos of my sister and I, a watercolor that she did a while back that I have up here in the room, and then my mirror that's hanging on one of the exit doors of my room here, and sort of like the back of my head and my arms. And then for interacting with panels, I realized I made this section way too big. So I thought it would be funny to just eventually I realized it might be funny if I drew my hand turning the page, a little hint of the doodle that I did there. And for the final part of part 3, just like a quick doodle of me saying, hey, there are no mistakes in art, right? And then for the final part where we had to impose objects onto the page, I have my desk again. I have this like very large desk calendar. I made a note that for the 4th, Saw Comics is happening, and I'm not sure if my phone is like drawn appropriately to scale, but there's a note that says, note, impose object onto page. And then I tried to draw the top of my desk, but I don't know if I got the perspective right, but yeah.
Wow, that page turn, that's like interacting with panels on like a whole different level. I love it.
Thank you.
Awesome, Allison. Thank you so much. We're going to go to Nikki. While Tiger Lily tries to figure out their video. Nikki, are you there? Yeah.
Hi. Hi, this was great. Because I was just showing Draw Jam some of the Moomin panels yesterday, and it fits in perfectly. And I'd wanted to do something like that, so it fits in perfectly. I'll just reverse my screen. And so this is the panel where objects become the border. Hooray, spring's almost here. Time to sort the seeds and get the garden ready. I'm in New Zealand, so it's still winter at the moment. Before shot, OMG, the weeds. And then these panels kind of combine. So I'm writing a to-do list, set up a seed sowing space, sort out my seeds. Number 3, organize some help to deal with the overwhelm of weeds and get the garden ready. 4, set up Jungle Jane's seed sowing services. And number 5, list of needs and shopping. And then I'm drawing a flower instead of doing any of it, which is very me. And then the last panel, Quirky Bird saying, don't forget to put in a compostery and turn the soil so I can have some tasty treats. And then I kind of drew this panel like, if you're not looking at it properly, you'd think, oh, it's just a panel. But then it's actually the surface of the table then turns into a table and comes down to interact with the last very open panel.
Yeah. Oh, I love
Thank
that.
you. That was so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, to-do lists. I always love to-do lists in comics, and I like the flowers that you have like popping up from the page.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nikki. Looks great. We'll go to Eli next, and then Mari, and then Kristen. Here we go. See if Eli's ready. Oops. Oh, got to come back, Eli.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Hi, this is my first class here too.
Oh,
Welcome.
Let's see. Thanks. My dad had a bad week. He was in the hospital. He's got dementia and he fell out of bed. So I saw him in a lot of different beds this last week. So he fell out of his cute little 4-poster bed. And if I had sort of thought about this, I would have drawn a sequence of him kind of flipping over and flopping into the emergency room bed, but I'll redraw it and make that happen. And then he had a lot of tubes attached to him, which he continued to trip and fall over. So I think when I redo this, he'll be tripping and falling through all the tubes from bed to bed to bed to bed. And then the very end, when I didn't get a chance to draw, but he's in an assisted nursing facility right now, and he still is sitting on the edge of that bed, and he continues to fall out of it because they're not watching him. So I hope he survives his 8 weeks recovering there because he keeps falling. So that's, yeah, so it's sad, but he's old and he's lived a good long life. So anyway, that's what I was fooling around with, was trying to make the screen of, I took a picture of him in the emergency room because I knew he'd want to see it later. But this was so many good ideas about how to break up an idea and make it more dynamic. So thanks.
Thank you for sharing. I'm sorry to hear about your dad, but I think the comic you're doing is like, as folks are saying, I think the way that you're sort of having the tube kind of go around and have your dad interact with the tube in many different ways is going to be really, really cool.
Yeah, thank you. This is really great. I was looking forward to this. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, Eli, thank you. That was wonderful. Laura, do you got a couple more minutes in you?
Yeah, I think it should be good.
Okay, because we may not be able to get to everybody, but y'all, but we'll try. We'll go to Mari next, and then Kristen, then Edgar.
So very beautiful piece, Eli. So I kind of structured it as using the stovetop oven and my countertop as kind of being the panels, although they're just kind of some objects, and getting some, I don't know, real life layer control in here. Kind of had to staple it in. So it's a question of, is it done yet? I don't think so. It doesn't look right. And then the very burnt chicken. So we may want to look into other options and a whole drawer of takeaway menus.
I love that. As a kid who's burned many things, as you can see in my examples, this is a very relatable comic.
Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Mari. Okay, Kristen next. Let's see. Here we go.
Hey, I was actually just going to draw this scene today, but this was awesome. Totally dynamic way to do this. So I started on this left side. On the bottom was a scene I was just going to draw. So it's my neighbor. It's our dog. He's reaching over the fence, to say hi. And the story is kind of the interaction, which was really tough to come up with. I took the fence over kind of to the next page and continued it. And the text is going to help tell the story here. But over here, I'm kind of dreaming about what it would be like if I didn't have my dog, because I can be kind of shy and like not talk to people. So because, Hopper helped me talk to Mike, he told me all about, how he loves his morning glories and stuff. So I'm going to try to, with text, tell that story of like me thinking about like, maybe up here, I'll put like, I would have never, learned that from Mike. And now I know, he loves his morning glories, and it's all, because of this interaction here happening. So yeah, it was just a really cool way to, great ideas. That's just amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I like that the way you kind of imposed your dog around.
Thanks so much, Kristen. Really great. We'll go to Edgar next, and then Beverly, and then Mishka.
Well, thank you, Laura, for the inspiration. And thank you, Tom, for calling on me. Let me show you what this is called, the banana split break. My brother Frazier is studying for high school final exams. And our mom says, Frazier, why don't you take a break from studying? I'll make you a banana split. And Frazier says, okay, Mom, thanks. So you can see the chocolate scoop, the vanilla scoop, the strawberry scoop with the banana, chocolate sauce, caramel sauce, strawberry sauce, a shiny white china bowl and the spoon. Frazier's left hand holding the banana split bowl with his hippie bead bracelet from the 70s. And then his right hand is holding the spoon. One of my brother's happy memories from life, made by Mom with love, consumed by Frazier very quickly, returned to study, but never forgotten for posterity by his brother, Edgar Farr Russell III. So anyway, thank you for allowing me to record this memory.
Thank you for sharing. Wow. I love art and food, so I'm glad you put it together.
Oh, that's great. Me too.
Also,
Okay.
did you draw it in your car? Like, are you driving?
I was going to ask.
No,
this.
well, that would really be good if I were driving while I'm drawing. No, I'm in a parking lot, sitting in the front seat.
That's good.
So I'll tell you
draw and
more
drive,
another
folks.
time. Yeah, no, I'm safe. I may be a danger to myself and to others, but not tonight.
Nice.
All right,
Thank
we'll
you
go
for
to,
sharing.
thanks, Edgar. We'll go to Beverly next, and
Thank
then
you.
Mishka, sure.
Okay. All right. So I don't know if you can see this. So when I started out with this airplane. So in 2007, my daughter was life flighted from Idaho to Salt Lake City. And so I was trying to, I don't know if you can see it. Okay, there you go. So I started off here, and then I wanted to show the inside of the plane. I was sitting here, and then there's a nurse, and then there's my daughter. And then when you say make some kind of connection, I didn't know what to do. So I just put a big plane here landing. And then I put the medical record, Robin Edwards' destination, her birthday, Salt Lake City Children's Hospital, October 2007. So that's, and this is one of the pages that I will redo and put in my graphic novel.
Wow.
So,
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. I love like the overlapping planes is really cool.
thank you. Thank you for the idea.
I'm glad that's giving you some inspiration, Beverly. Thanks. All right, we'll go to Mishka next and then Michael.
Hi. Really good instruction, but I do need a little bit more like structure to know what story to tell. So it took me a while to get started. So this is really fast. Mine is about being bored in my dad's giant sedan. So in the 80s, so one panel was supposed to be the car window, but I ended up writing around the car window. It's my feet up on the dashboard. My dad drove from Southern California at the end of Baja. It took days. I just stared out the open window with my arm airfoiling on the hot desert air. I grew so good at dividing and multiplying by 6. Every kilometer marker, I wondered how much longer I'd be in the car. The map was in miles, as was my brain. And then I didn't want to draw a phone, so I made a map. I was the navigator, but there were no real decisions to make. You just drove south day after day and visited the same desolate inland towns or coastal ciudades. And then I learned a lot of Spanish along the way too. Oops, that's that hand. Along the highway too. And I returned to that cozy desert warmth as I took Espanol later.
Wow. Wow, I love the colors. Also, the map is really cool. I think maps on pages. I do love that a lot.
Thank you. Thanks for the ideas.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Mishka.
Thank
All
you.
right, we'll go to Michael next. Let's see. Michael, are you gonna?
You just muted me. I have to share my screen because I didn't get
your co-host
very far because can you see?
Yep.
This is like the beginning of a 8 to 10 page comic that I wanted to start today. About passengers I picked up when I was the New York City cab driver in the 80s. So I just tried to use the windshield as the first shape, the passenger window as the second one, and then the rear view that I tried to connect to the first panel. So that's as far as I got.
Wow. I love that. I love the car mirrors and windows as panels. I'm excited to see the rest of your 10-page comic.
Yeah. I want to see what you put underneath for section 5, where you impose things onto that page.
Yeah.
I may have to deviate for the sake of the story, but this was a really interesting way to begin this comic, which I certainly wouldn't have done. So thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome, Michael. Oh, we have well, it's getting late, Laura. We have 2 more people that just popped up. Do you have time for them, or do you want to move on?
Yeah, we can fit them
Okay.
in. Just 2 more, yeah.
Samantha and Susanna will be our last 2.
Hello.
Hello.
So far, I feel like everybody really like nailed it on their stories, and I just I had a little bit of trouble, but I don't know if you can see it. I'm using Clip Studio, not Procreate. Yeah, so I was doing someone working in a gym. So I started with when you work on the treadmill and you have a water bottle, it kind of jostles around. So I wanted to show the jostling. And then for the image, oh, it's hard to show. I had the person kind of, you can see the reflection of them running on the screen of the treadmill. And then the headphones they're wearing kind of connects to them in the next panel actually running.
Wow.
And then for the, I couldn't think of any superimposed objects. So I did like just the huffs and puffs of like the breathing as they run. So yeah.
That's really cool. Thank you. I also like the earphones connecting. I think for post stuff, you can it's hard with like workout stuff. You I don't know, like put a bottle down or like maybe like a protein bar or something.
Yeah. Well, I was just trying to think of just getting movement through each panel. So the movement in the bottle shaking and then the movement into running.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's my
Thank
first
you.
time. So it's exciting.
Oh, thanks, Samantha. Amazing. We'll go to Susanna next, and that'll be our last one. We'll go
Hi.
oh,
So,
there we go.
I don't know if I followed all the prompts correctly. I had oh, and my computer's about to die too. I'm in a restaurant, but I kind of took the panel in front of me. I took my journal and my computer. I'm really bad drawing of hands. I really need to do one of those hand workshops where I do nothing but draw hands. But
yeah, I
so
think your
writing about
video is frozen. I don't know if we're able to.
Oh, am I frozen?
Okay, we can see it
now. It's
Am I
coming.
in?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just colored one page of it, but it's when
Frozen
it's
again.
going to be. And, oh, am I frozen again?
It comes and goes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, and that might be just because I'm low on power. I don't know how. Do you want me to try to read it, or is it freezing up again?
It's pretty spotty. Laura, what do
Okay.
you think?
Well, we can just go to the next person. Anyway, thank you, and hi to everybody. It's nice seeing everyone. And oh,
Post it on Instagram, Susanna.
Yeah, please share it.
It looks great.
I'll look at all the ones that folks post. If you just tag me, tag Saul, and use that hashtag.
Awesome. All right, let me lower the hand. Well, thanks for staying a little longer, Laura. And wow, you got so many really great ideas generated by people. They were all like, "Thank you for this idea. Thank you for this idea." There's so many.
No, everyone's so talented. It was really cool seeing all the comics that folks made.
Oh well, you brought it out of us too. And like, there's and again, this sort of happens a lot, like some serious things, like one about banana splits and then one about anyway, you really gave us new tools. So I really appreciate it. I think everyone probably appreciates it too. Tell us again where to get your book. Actually, I have it right here and I can put it in the chat.
Yeah, you can find Messy Roots on bookshop.org, Barnes & Noble, any of your local bookstores, Amazon, etc. If you want, like, so a lot of the examples I use today are from Messy Roots, and there's a lot more examples in the book of ways that you can kind of like play around with panels and be creative. So feel free to grab a copy of the book, and you can always reach out to me through my email on my website too if you have any other questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Laura. And everybody, let's unmute ourselves and just say thank you to Laura, and then you can have your evening at home or wherever you're going. All right. And everybody,
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Laura.
Thank
you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
So good.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
That's
great.
Have
Thanks
a great night,
everybody
guys.
for coming.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Feel better, Tom.
Oh, thanks. I think I'm getting there. Next step is shaving.
That's clever.
Bye, everybody.